Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. This video is part of a series on how to knit a pair of toe-up socks. This video is about the foot of the socks. If you'll turn it like this. In the first video was about all the goodies you need, the second video about the cast on, the third video about the toe, so that's the part in the green here, and then this video is about the foot of the sock. So this is this part here, so between the toe and the heel. This you'll be knitting the sock, the foot of the sock. We're now going to knit the foot of the sock. So I have here the toe completed in a different color because I'm going to use this blue color changing yarn for the foot of the sock. So I've cut my yarn and then we're going to continue in a new color. And at this point these socks are just simple socks. That means there's no extra patterns of any kind, so I'm just going to knit all stitches. It's just stockinette stitch. If you are ever knitting a sock pattern, you typically do that on needle 2. So here the stitch marker is facing, so this is needle 1. When you have it the other way, when you've got this side facing needle 2, that's typically the needle that you'll do the pattern on. Because on needle 1, here with the stitch marker, this is the side that's going to have the heel on it. And of course the heel will be at the bottom side of the sock. So to start the next stitches, I'm just again going to pull my fabric down to even out my stitch tension. Then pull out the back needle. And then to knit that first stitch, I'm just going to grab the yarn, just make a little loop that first stitch, and I'm just going to attach it like this and then knit the second stitch. And now I just need one of the loops. I don't need them both, I just need the one. And make sure you grab the yarn tail that goes to the ball, because you will not be the first person to actually grab the wrong yarn tail here. And there you go. So those are the first few stitches that I just like to knit these English. And there you go. And now I've got the yarn nice and secured, then I swap to continental. And now continue and knit every stitch on this needle. And what's important is when we come back and we knit this next time needle 1, is that we just correct for this color change, because we've now made the color change to a new color yarn. And actually when you knit socks, you're knitting in a spiral. So that means you're going to get a jump at the edge where you change colors, and that's just a little thing you can do to prevent that jump from being so visible. It's like a jog that's there. But for now I'm just going to knit every stitch. So I've got 28 stitches on each needle, and that's for me. That's because I wear a European size 39. That's my shoe size. And then these knit socks, they fit me well with my own gauge. But if you have a different gauge, of course, you'll have a different number of stitches, or you have a different shoe size, so you'll have a different set of stitches. And in the written pattern there's more information on that. So for now I'm just knitting every stitch. And now I'm turning. That was the last stitch. Turn my work and pull this needle back. So I'm just pulling here on the cable, then just push it back in. And this is something that I always do at this point. I just always pull the sock down to just even out the tension on what I just knitted. Then I bring my working yarn forward. So I'm just arguing a bit with the yarn ball, and then make sure that they're really together, that you don't want this to be apart. Really make sure they're together, because otherwise you're going to get like tension differences here on the edges. Make sure they're together. So I pull out the cable and then I knit the next stitch, not changing anything. So I don't pull my yarn tighter, I don't pull these stitches tighter, I just keep the same tension, and I keep my finger here to the back, holding on to those stitches that are on the other needle. And when I've knit the first few, only then do I let go and continue knitting the rest. And like I said, that pulling on the stitches at the end of every needle, that really helps me to even out my tension, that my stitches are all the same, and that you don't have any weird lines on the edges of the sock, because that's really something that can happen if you pull too tight on your working yarn. You'll get a line on the edge of the sock. For now, I'm just knitting every stitch to the end. And the last stitch here. There you go. And now I'm just going to turn my work, and then we're ready for the next row, and there we're just going to do that correction on the color change. So again, put everything back, and then just pull my yarn tight. There you go. And now I'm ready for the next row. So for row 2 of the sock, and every next row actually also, just going to knit every stitch until the foot of the sock is long enough. But I just like to show you how to prevent this little jog here at the edge. So here are the 2 yarn tails from the old and the new color. You can actually push them inside if you want. I'm just going to leave them here. And what I always do is, like when I'm at the end of the row, I just bring these needles together, just pull my yarn that these stitches are nice and even, because it really helps to prevent tension differences. Now the next stitch, what you would normally do is you would just I'm going to pull this out, and like I say, make sure that these that you're not pulling tighter on your working yarn or on any of your stitches. What you would normally do is now you just knit the next stitch, and then you get that little jump. Now to prevent that, you see here's the stitch at the bottom. This is the stitch that first stitch is worked in. It's this stitch here, that little V. And take that first V, the one that's on the right, just grab that V there and bring it up to your needle, to your left needle. Just bring it up. So now I've got 2 loops here on the stitch. And now we're just going to work through both of those. And now continue knitting as normal. And that helps to prevent the little jump that you could otherwise have at the edge of the sock. And that's it. Now you're just going to continue knitting every stitch until the foot of the sock is long enough. So until we're at the point that you want to stop making the heel. And for my socks, this is about 50 rows. So with the colored yarn that I have on here, I'm now going to knit about 50 needles, complete needles. So that's both needle 1 and needle 2, so complete rounds. I'm going to knit about 50 of them, and then that will be a point where I can start making the heel. So I'll just show you the turn once more, how to prevent that so any tension differences on the edges. And this does require some practice. My first pair of socks had horrible tension issues, and as you knit more and more of them, it does get better. You start to feel your tension better. And also this last stitch, don't open up that stitch in any way. Just make sure that nothing changes in that stitch as you knit it. Turn your work, and this is pull the cable, so bringing that needle back. And like I said, this is the point where I just always fashion the stitches. So I just pull everything down, just fashion the sock a bit, pull a little bit on my working yarn, that last stitch is the same tension as all the others. So I really use the needles to even out tension. So I pull them all nice and the same, and now I'm ready to knit the next row. So I pull the back needle out, and like I said, and I'm not making sure, I'm still holding on to them here to the back and the front, just holding on to everything, and I knit the first stitch without changing anything, so not pulling any stitches tighter or my yarn tighter or anything. And then after I've done a few, I can just let go of that back row of stitches and then knit this row. And do this until you've knitted as many rows as you need to. And then we'll be at a point where we can knit the heel. So continue until you have the foot of the sock completed. I've now knit 50 rows of my sock, and this is the complete foot. If I was now to put this sock on, this edge would be just at the start of my heel, at the bottom of my foot. So this would be exactly the length from the tip of my toe to just where my heel starts. And the next step in this sock making is to knit the heel. So this is the end of the foot, and then the next part is to knit a heel.